Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. This next story took place in St. Johns County, Florida, which is where St. Augustine is, near Jacksonville. This incident happened back in May. It didn't even make mainstream news until December, like almost 7 months later. And this was a clear-cut incident of racial profiling, and the cop that racially profiled this young man ended up having a heart attack and died immediately after. Check out this news story, and we got a lot to talk about.
We are getting a look at the moments leading up to this St. Johns County sergeant's death earlier this year. His name is Michael Kunovich. He died after an aggressive encounter with a man. That man is 18-year-old Virgilio Aguilar Mendez, who is charged with aggravated manslaughter and violently resisting the sergeant during an encounter the two had back in May. News4Jax has now obtained body camera video of the incident. It shows the sergeant confronting the young man, who tells the sergeant repeatedly he cannot speak English.
The confrontation became more aggressive until Aguilar Mendez was handcuffed. Moments later, the sergeant collapsed. He later died. Defense attorneys contend he died of a heart attack. We want to warn you, the body camera video we're about to show is hard to watch. News4Jax reporter Marilyn Parker is joining us. She also has obtained documents from the defense. Marilyn, those documents shed some light on how Kunovich died.
Yes, the state is charging Aguilar Mendez with aggravated manslaughter and violently resisting. Immigration attorneys tell me this won't be easy to prove, and we want to be clear. We're showing this video to simply be fair to both sides. This video is hard to watch for many reasons. Sergeant Michael Kunovich, whose body camera we're watching, died after this situation. The man charged in his death, 18-year-old Virgilio Aguilar Mendez, doesn't speak English. Here's how it started.
Okay, why, when I was driving around, stop. Okay, but why did you get up and walk away?
Huh?
When you saw me, you got up and walked away. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
His responses aren't all that clear. We showed this video to an immigration attorney. But this person doesn't appear to be doing anything wrong from this. He's just standing there.
Right. I think there's going to be a lot of litigation as to whether there was a reasonable suspicion that he was committing a crime, was about to commit a crime, or had committed a crime.
Where are you staying? Sleeping?
He points to the Motel 8, and according to this defense motion, he left the motel to eat outside while on the phone with his mother.
Well, why aren't you eating inside? What? Okay, I've got some comments.
Kunovich keeps asking him questions and then attempts to search him. There was no reason to search him in that moment.
Yeah, so if there's no reasonable suspicion that a crime occurred and there's no probable cause that he had a weapon, then you can't search him.
This is where it gets physical.
Don't walk away from me.
No, sorry.
Don't pull away from me.
More units arrive, and Aguilar Mendez is tased several times, all while trying to explain that he doesn't speak English.
Lay on your stomach.
I'm sorry, no speak English.
Lay on your stomach.
Stop.
Roll over.
The sheriff's office says moments after Aguilar Mendez is in handcuffs, Sergeant Kunovich collapsed, then died at the hospital. The defense says he died of a heart attack. How will they carry out this aggravated manslaughter? Because...
And they would have to establish that Mr. Aguilar Mendez, he knew or reasonably should have expected that his act would have caused the death. So that's going to be very difficult.
And the defense wants a bond set in a hearing that's almost like a mini trial. The state will have to show the evidence they have is sufficient to meet the presumption of guilt.
Marilyn, you also learned that Aguilar Mendez is from Guatemala. He was working at a farm. What else have you found out about him?
So in the defense report, it says that he was here working to send money back to his family and while waiting for a court hearing on his immigration status.
As we said repeatedly, this video is very difficult to watch. It must be especially difficult for anybody in Jacksonville's Hispanic community to watch.
Absolutely. And I spoke with a woman who's very active in the growing Hispanic community here. She's from Puerto Rico, and she says this video brought her to tears as she feels badly for both parties involved here.
We can't communicate correctly, so it's hard to believe in the fact that we have freedom, because if you think you're at harm, but I also think I'm at harm, now we're both being aggressive because we don't know.
What do you think was going through his head when all of this was happening?
Fear. He answered his questions as best as he could. And as soon as he said, I went to drink and I live right here, it should have ended right there. So definitely racial profiling, because why did you stop him? He's clearly walking on a property where there's attendants of all types of colors and all types. Why did you stop him out of all people?
And as I said, we have such a growing Hispanic community here in Jacksonville and in Northeast Florida. I reached out to several local law enforcement agencies to see how many Spanish-speaking officers we have out on the streets, and I'm still waiting to hear back.
Marilyn, thank you. We have posted the body camera video in its entirety inside this story on the News4JAX homepage. We did reach out to the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. Out of respect for the family, a spokesman said we will not be providing any further comment on the body camera video.
We're going to start from the beginning of that encounter. So I've seen the full body cam footage. I'm going to put the links to the original video in the description box of this video. So the deputy or the sergeant was driving past, and the young man was standing outside eating and talking on his phone. Nothing illegal about that. It's right outside the Motel 8 where he was staying. He's a farm worker, and he shared a hotel room with, I think, like 2 other people. Some people aren't going to like what I'm saying, and I don't give a damn. But this was clearly a case of racial profiling. He racially profiled the young man and accosted him for no reason at all. Because when he came up and he saw that he barely spoke English, he's trying to tell him in broken English that he was eating, and he was apologizing for, I guess, for making him stop or whatever. But he was trying to go about his business. And then the sergeant asked him, why are you walking away? He has every right to walk away. He's not being officially detained. He could have told the sergeant to F off, and there's nothing the sergeant could have done about it, because it's a consensual encounter. So then he asked him, why is he eating outside? Why isn't he in his room? That's none of your business why he's eating outside. So what? That's not illegal. And he had said on the radio before he even got out of the squad car that he was going to be out with one suspicious male. Nothing was suspicious about a young man eating dinner and talking on the phone outside a hotel. I could see if he was walking around trying to look in people's windows. That would definitely be a suspicious person. You'd have every right to stop him and detain him, find out what's going on, because that would give you probable cause to do so, because then you could easily articulate that that person you felt is about to commit a crime, because you have probable cause to detain someone if you feel they are about to or have committed or are committing a crime. But none of this happened at all. He accosted him, and then when the young man tries to walk away, he grabs his arm. And of course the young man's going to yank away. Hell, I would too. You illegally accost me like that, and then you grab on me, I would be fighting too. Anybody would. And it's crazy how this just made the news not too long ago. And the sheriff's department has nothing to say about this. And then what's most egregious is that this young man is in jail for manslaughter, which makes no sense at all. So when he accosted him, he started struggling with him, and then other deputies arrived, because he had called for other deputies to arrive before he even got out of the squad car. And then the others arrive, and then one of them, as you saw in the video, picks the guy. The guy is small. He picks him up, manhandles him, slams him on the ground, and then they tase him repeatedly. And then one of them is kneeling on him, and then they handcuff him. So it's all around an illegal arrest. And then there's a lot of people saying that the responding deputies should be brought up on charges, but I don't agree with that, for the simple fact that they were summoned by their sergeant. They didn't know that their sergeant had illegally accosted someone and assaulted someone. They didn't know that. They just heard their sergeant calling for their assistance. But now, if any of those deputies had been on the scene when the sergeant first accosted the young man, then I was like, yeah, they need to be brought up on charges. And then immediately after that struggle, then the sergeant ended up having a heart attack and died. So he got off easy, because if he was alive, I would say he should be brought up on charges, lose his certification, all that stuff, because he straight up violated the young man's rights. They roughed him up for no reason at all. a lot of the hardcore conservatives that are all about law and order, you don't hear a peep from them. They need to be up in arms about this, because change a couple of things around in this. If this had been a young white male, it's a college student, 18 years old, let's say he was racially profiled, illegally accosted, assaulted, arrested, falsely arrested, and kidnapped, and if that rogue cop had been black and he had had a heart attack and died, all those hardcore conservatives would be up in arms, and they would be saying like, yeah, F him, he deserved it, he was a thug. Well, y'all need to be saying the same thing about this right here, because that's exactly how it is. He had no right to accost that young man like that, and they gave him a hero send-off, which I think is a bunch of BS. And it's stuff like this that makes so many people hate the police. And I did the job for over 12 years, and I served with distinction, unlike this sergeant here that's no longer with us. And the thing about this, because he had been on the force so long, they said 25 years, and he was a sergeant, which means he supervised other deputies. I guarantee this was not the first time something like this has happened. And the thing about it is, if you have, matter of fact, right now I'm talking to cops. If you have other cops that are abusing people's rights like this, you don't need to cover for them. Why should you cover for someone who's making the community have a disdain for you? Why would you cover for someone like that? Because the only way a corrupt cop can keep being corrupt is if he has company. A cop cannot be corrupt on his own and watch his own back. He has to have other people working with him. And the thing about it is, stuff like this is so commonplace. And they'll hold press conferences and say, oh no, it's not all of them. It's not even nowhere near half of them. It's just a few bad apples. If there's an officer violating someone's rights like that, and then another officer's right there and does nothing about it, he's just as bad, just as culpable. You're not only condoning it, but you're encouraging it by not doing anything. And that creates the divide between law enforcement and the community. That is why so many people don't trust and have a disdain for law enforcement, because of incidents like this right here. He didn't serve with distinction, he served with disgrace. His last act was not an act of kindness, but it was an act of cowardice. He didn't die protecting a member of the community, but he died hurting him. He didn't die serving the community, but he died terrorizing it. He didn't die honoring the badge, but died disgracing it. And finally, he didn't die a hero, but he died a villain. Those are the facts, and they are indisputable. So remember to stay armed, stay vigilant, and stay tactical. See y'all next time.